So this is section E, sliding scales and potassium protocol. So in here, we're gonna learn how to mix two insulins, how to read sliding scales, and how to read and interpret potassium protocols. So first, let's talk about mixing two insulins in one syringe. So the most common insulins that we mix are regular insulin and NPH. So sometimes the healthcare provider will order regular insulin to be mixed with another insulin and injected together at the same site. So we have to remember 2 points. 1, always remember to draw up the regular insulin into the syringe first. And then 2, the total number of units in the syringe equals to the 2 insulin orders added together. So let's say the provider ordered 10 units of regular insulin plus 10 units of NPH. So the total that you have to see in that syringe, right? So 10 units plus 10 units is 20 units because there's 10 from each. As a policy, we have to draw regular insulin first. So again, the common ones are regular insulin mixed with NPH insulin. A way to remember it is that since regular insulin is clear and NPH insulin is cloudy, the mnemonic to remember is clear to cloudy. So this will help you remember which insulin to draw up first. This is an illustration on how to draw it. So first step, we inject air into the NPH vial. So first it's just injecting air. Then we take the syringe out and then we go to the regular insulin and inject air to the regular insulin. So the amount of air is really the amount of insulin that you're gonna draw, right? Followed by, after injecting air to the regular insulin, then we draw the correct amount of regular insulin, followed by drawing the correct amount of NPH. The way I remember this is by remembering this acronym, NR-RN. So we start with the NPH when it comes to injecting air, followed by R, which is regular insulin. When it comes to drawing, we start with R and then followed by N, or RN. So we draw regular insulin first, followed by NPH insulin. So this is the illustration and this is the listed step. So again, we inject into the NPH vial the amount of air equal to the amount of NPH insulin, followed by injecting into the regular vial the amount of air equal to the amount of regular insulin. Then withdrawing the correct amount of regular insulin, followed by withdrawing the correct amount of NPH insulin. So the total number of units will be the regular insulin amount plus the NPH insulin amount. Next, let's talk about sliding scale regular insulin dosages. So sliding scale insulin orders refer to a method of insulin administration that is based on the blood glucose result. So you are going to see this a lot in the clinical setting. So sliding scale orders vary according to the institutional policies and sometimes depending on the provider's preference. So the blood glucose results often comes from a finger stick and uses some sort of an AccuCheck monitor. So sometimes you will see it as a FS or finger stick result, or BG or blood glucose result, and some people use BS or blood sugar result. So this is an example of a insulin sliding scale. In the sliding scale, you will often see the order for how often we need to check for the blood sugar, right? So in here it says AccuCheck Q 4 hours. So meaning we have to check your blood sugar every 4 hours. And depending on the amount of glucose or the finger stick level that you get, that determines the amount of insulin that you're gonna give. In addition to that, it will also give information on when to call the provider, and also if the blood sugar is too low, what is it that you're gonna give, and then also it will have information on when to call the provider again. So let's look at this example. In this example, it says how much regular insulin to give if the patient's finger stick blood sugar is equal to the following. So let's start with this. It says 227. So if your patient's blood sugar or finger sticks equals to 227, then the amount of insulin that we're gonna give is under here, right? 227 is somewhere between here, and based on this, it tells us to give 5 units. All right, next. Now our blood sugar is 88. We go back to the scale and we look for 88. So 88 falls under here. Based on this, it tells us that we give 0 units. So no insulin should be given. 0 units. Next, we check the blood sugar again. And then our patient's blood sugar is at 152. We go back to the scale and we look. Where is 152? 152 falls within these two numbers. Therefore, we know that we have to give 3 units of regular insulin. 3 units. And last example, we have 104. Same process. We look at the numbers, we look at the scale, and where does 104 fall under? So it's somewhere between here, right? Therefore, we know that we have to give 2 units of regular insulin. So 2 units. So that's it for your insulin sliding scale. Next, let's talk about potassium replacement protocol. So just like the insulin sliding scale, potassium replacement protocol is very similar. The amount of medication that we are going to give is often based on the level of potassium. This specifies how much to give, when to recheck, and when to call the physician. So let's look at this example. Using the above potassium replacement protocol, calculate how much medication is the nurse going to give if the potassium level is 3.3 MEq. So the first step is to look at the scale, right? We look at the scale and we find where is 3.3. So 3.3 is here. And so based off of that number, right, we look at how much potassium do we need to give. So it says here that we have to give 30 MEq of KCl, PO, every 2 hours times 2 doses. So we're really just going to calculate for the current dose that we're going to give. So just ignore this for now, right, for the specific activity, and just remember that we have to give 30 MEq. So we know that the desired is 30 MEq. And based off of this, it says that it is supplied in KCl 20 MEq scored tablet. So this is my have, right? 20 MEq and 1 tablet is my supply. And the same old formula applies. We start with 30 MEq multiplied to 1 tablet divided by have, which is 20 MEq. This cancels out. We multiply 30 times 1, so 30 over 20, which is 1.5. And we know that this is a tablet. Therefore, the final answer would be 1.5 tab. So this is your final answer. All right, so next example, using the above potassium replacement protocol, calculate how much medication is the nurse going to give if the potassium level is 3.4 MEq per liter. Again, we look at the scale. So my potassium level is at 3.4. We go back and we find 3.4. And it's here. Well, it is basically the same amount that we gave earlier. So 3.4 is 30 MEq. But when I look at how it's supplied, it says that it's supplied in KCl 20 MEq per 15 ml. So it tells me that this comes in liquid form. And so the formula doesn't really change, right? So my desired is same 30 MEq. Now, this is what I have. This is how it's supplied. So 30 MEq times 15 ml over 20 MEq. So this cancels out. 30 times 15 is 450, and it's divided by 20. So that equals to 22.5 ml. And that's our answer.